I've been diving for 20 years, but nothing prepared me for what happened in the Azores last summer. These volcanic islands in the middle of the Atlantic are known for their big animal encounters. But what unfolded during a single morning dive would challenge everything I thought I knew about the ocean. The boat rocked gently as we suited up, the deep blue Atlantic stretching endlessly in every direction. Princess Alice Bank, our dive site, is a seamount that rises from the abyss to within 40 feet of the surface. It's a magnet for pelagic life, sitting in thousands of feet of open water. Captain Joao had been running these trips for 15 years, and even he seemed excited about the conditions. "Visibility is perfect today," he announced in his thick Portuguese accent. "Maybe 50 meters. The current is mild coming from the east. You might see anything out there." My dive buddy Sarah and I exchanged knowing glances. We'd heard the stories about Princess Alice, mobula rays, blue sharks, massive schools of barracuda. But dive operators always promise the world. After 2 decades of diving, I'd learned to manage my expectations. We back-rolled into the water, and immediately I knew this was different. The water was so clear it felt like floating in liquid glass. Below us, the top of the seamount appeared as a hazy shadow in the blue. No reference points, no walls, just endless blue in every direction except down. It's a humbling feeling, diving in the open ocean like this. You're completely exposed, a tiny speck in the vast blue wilderness. We descended slowly, watching our computers as the numbers climbed. 20 feet, 40 feet, 60 feet. The seamount's plateau came into clearer view, a flat expanse of volcanic rock covered in a carpet of yellow sponges and small corals. Schools of blue runners and almaco jacks circled the mount in perfect synchronization, their silver bodies flashing in the sunlight that still penetrated at this depth. Sarah tapped my shoulder and pointed east. A small group of mobula rays glided past in the distance, their wingtips moving in slow, graceful beats. Beautiful, but not unusual for this site. We continued exploring the plateau, checking under overhangs for moray eels and photographing the colorful nudibranches that dotted the rocks. About 20 minutes into the dive, the jacks suddenly scattered. One moment they were circling peacefully, the next they vanished into the blue like smoke in the wind. My experience told me this meant one thing: a predator was approaching. I scanned the blue water surrounding us, my heart rate picking up slightly. In the open ocean, you were never quite sure what might emerge from that endless blue curtain. Then I saw it. At first, just a shadow in the distance, moving with a distinctive undulating motion. As it approached, the shape resolved into something I'd only seen in documentaries and dreams. A whale shark. The gentle giant of the ocean, the largest fish in the sea, was swimming directly toward us. But something was wrong. As it came closer, I could see its swimming pattern was erratic. The massive fish, easily 25 feet long, would swim normally for a few beats, then list to one side. Its right pectoral fin seemed to be moving differently than the left. When it was about 30 feet away, I saw the problem. A thick rope was wrapped around its body, just behind the pectoral fins, cutting deep into its flesh. The whale shark passed within 15 feet of us, and I could see the damage clearly. The rope, probably from a fishing net or mooring line, had been there for a long time. The skin around it was raw and infected, with pieces of flesh hanging loose. The gentle giant's eye, as big as a tennis ball, seemed to look right at me as it passed. In that moment, I swear I saw something that looked like resignation. Sarah and I watched as the whale shark continued its labored journey, disappearing back into the blue. We looked at each other, the same thought passing between us without words. We had to do something. But what? We were at 70 feet, in the middle of the ocean, with no cutting tools. The boat was a 5-minute swim away at the surface. By the time we got help, the whale shark would be long gone. I checked my air gauge, 1,800 psi. Plenty for what I was thinking, but was I really considering this? Swimming after an injured whale shark in the open ocean wasn't exactly covered in the rescue diver manual. But that eye, I couldn't get it out of my head. I pointed in the direction the shark had gone and raised my eyebrows at Sarah, the universal diver question of, "Shall we?" She checked her own air, then nodded firmly. We kicked hard, following the direction the whale shark had taken. My legs burned as we pushed through the water, scanning the blue void ahead of us. For 2 minutes that felt like 20, we saw nothing but empty water. I was about to signal that we should give up when Sarah grabbed my arm. There below and to our left, the whale shark's spotted pattern materialized from the blue. It was swimming in a large circle, about 90 feet down. We descended to 85 feet, watching as the massive fish continued its circular path. As we observed, I noticed something crucial. When the whale shark turned in one direction, the rope seemed to loosen slightly. It was still embedded in the flesh, but there was maybe an inch of play. If we could somehow guide the shark to keep turning, maybe swim through its own loop, perhaps the rope would work itself free. It was a long shot, but it was all we had. I signaled my plan to Sarah as best I could with hand gestures and improvised signs. She looked skeptical but nodded. We positioned ourselves on opposite sides of the whale shark's circular path. As it approached me, I swam alongside it, gently placing my hand on its massive flank. The skin felt like sandpaper, rough but somehow vulnerable. The whale shark didn't react negatively to my touch. If anything, it seemed to slow down slightly. I applied gentle pressure, trying to encourage it to turn more sharply. Sarah did the same on the other side when the shark reached her position. We were essentially trying to help it swim in a tighter circle, hoping the rope would work itself loose. For 10 minutes, we continued this strange underwater dance. My air gauge dropped to 1,200 psi, then 1,000. We were at 85 feet, pushing no decompression limits. My dive computer showed 8 minutes of bottom time remaining. If this didn't work soon, we'd have to abort. Then it happened. As the whale shark completed another circuit, the rope shifted. Not much, but definitely moved. The whale shark seemed to notice too because it suddenly turned more sharply, almost like it understood what we were trying to do. 2 more circles, each tighter than the last. My computer showed 3 minutes of no deco time left. Sarah held up 2 fingers, 200 psi remaining. We were cutting it close. On the next turn, the miracle occurred. The rope, weakened by months of salt water and the infected flesh it had been cutting through, finally gave way. It didn't slip off cleanly. Instead, one end came free, and the whale shark's movement caused it to unwind like a grotesque ribbon. Pieces of damaged tissue came with it, clouding the water with organic matter that would attract smaller fish and, eventually, predators. The whale shark's reaction was immediate. Free from its painful binding, it stretched its fins fully for what must have been the first time in months. It accelerated, swimming in a straight line with powerful, even strokes. As it passed us one final time, it rolled slightly, that massive eye looking directly at us. Anthropomorphizing animal behavior is something marine biologists warn against, but I'll go to my grave believing that whale shark was saying thank you. Sarah and I began our ascent immediately, moving slowly despite our excitement. At our safety stop, hanging at 15 feet with 400 psi left in my tank, the magnitude of what had just happened hit me. We just freed a whale shark. No plan, no special equipment, just 2 divers who couldn't swim away from an animal in distress. Back on the boat, Captain Joao listened to our story with growing amazement. He'd seen a lot in his years on these waters, but this was a first. "You know," he said, pulling out a weather-beaten logbook, "I think I've seen that same whale shark before. Big one, swims in circles, always staying deep. I noticed it acting strange about 3 months ago, but could never get close enough to see why." The ride back to port was quiet. Sarah and I sat in the bow, still processing what had happened. In 20 years of diving, I'd seen amazing things. Hammerhead schools in Cocos, mantas in Raja Ampat, great whites in Guadalupe. But this was different. This wasn't just an encounter, it was an intervention, a moment where the boundary between observer and participant dissolved completely. 3 weeks later, I received an email from Joao with a photo attachment. Another dive group had encountered a large